What is up? Welcome into the Early Edge College Football Live Preview Show, Week 9 edition. I am your host, Alan Bell, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Let's not waste any time and bring in the stars of our show. See these beautiful mugs. Look at them. Chip Patterson, nice looking soccer kit you got there going, buddy. How we doing?
Oh, we are repping Fiorentina, my beloved Serie A side, which is in action right now on Paramount Plus. It's where you can check out all the good Serie A action. Hoping my guy Dusan Vlahovic comes in with a brace and 3 points for the Viola today.
Well, there we go. I could pronounce 4 words out of that sentence that you just said right there, but I'm pulling for you because we're all on the same side. Michael Roberts looking sharp as always, my friend. How we doing?
We're doing great, man. We come into holiday weekend, hopefully with some winners, but I've been spending way too much time on this Nevada UNLV game, my alma mater, winless UNLV, great uniforms, got to figure something out for a Halloween party on Friday night to watch the game. So I'm going to try to mix the two together, but I can't find any reason to take plus 20.5 in a night game at Nevada. So I'll leave it at that.
They're playing better.
Like they are playing better. Yes.
Which way do you pinpoint all these like close losses? Because they've also included UNLV holding second half leads. So do you penalize them for the blown leads, or do you take the big picture view, which is, you lose big, lose small, win big, and you're just hoping you're hovering at that lose small moment right now?
I'm looking at it from Nevada has an amazing quarterback that beats pretty much everybody it faces, and UNLV does not have the firepower to stay with it. But the 20 points, I'm like, okay, let's see what I can get here. Plus, they have the Fremont cannon. They pass back and forth. It hasn't been red in a while, but it's blue right now for the Wolfpack. So we'll see. I'll still be rooting them on, but I don't know if I'm going to really pull a bet down.
Now, Fremont, that's obviously for Fremont Street. Am I correct there?
John Fremont, the explorer on the West, all throughout California and Nevada and Fremont Cannon, yeah.
All right. See, look at that. Hey, we get a little history lesson, and we're going to get some nice sports betting tips as well. All right, taking a look at how we did last week. A tough week. Ooh. We ended up going, 4-8 on the show. But you know what? Look, those weeks are going to happen. We've been rolling 60% all season, right? I mean, it's sports betting. Nobody's new to this. We understand the deal here. Memphis, I got burned on that one as well. I know Tom was on that. I was on Memphis -1, and they just completely didn't show up whatsoever. But we're all right. We're sitting 56.7% as a show throughout the entire season, a strong number. And you know what? We're going to add to it this week. So jumping into some storylines that we have. Chip, normally we'll go with you last. However, we're going to go with you first here because you were jumping on the side of a point that our man Micah Roberts made a few weeks ago. And I'm just going to get out of your way.
Listen, Micah told y'all, like he is dropping, the important knowledge. Like it's not just the street where some of our favorite old casinos are, where you don't have to spend top dollar. Like he's also letting you know why it's named that way. And he saw weeks ago, can't trust the Pac-12. You got to write them off. You don't want any part of this. And I wanted to make that point this week because all of the games and all of the lines are absolutely repulsive. They're disgusting. I don't want any part of them. I would rather parlay every Big Ten under than have action on Arizona State favored by 16 against a Washington State team without a coach. Yuck. Oregon favored by 24. What in the world is an Oregon State team that's at the top of its division right now, 3-1 in conference play, doing as a narrow favorite against a Cal team from the bottom? USC, another coachless team, favored by 3 touchdowns. I mean, all of these lines, all of these games are repulsive. They're disgusting. No Pac-12 team is to be trusted. Micah told you, and I'm here to let everyone know I, too, have seen the light on this one.
I've cut my losses, by the way. I haven't gone back and bet, the last 3-4 weeks. Pac-12 at all. I've just left it out the board. You're absolutely right. And that trend has gone stronger and stronger as I look. I go, really? This happened? This happened? Last week, the UCLA Oregon game, it was toss up, whatever. I think I had the right side when we talked about it. But in reality, I mean, it was one of those games that could have gone either way. There's no edge. So when I perceive no edge on a side and what my ratings are telling me versus the other team, I just scratch them off. I go to the next game.
It's a smart play. Just get rid of them. Just throw it out the window.
Yep.
We're done with it. Yeah. Micah, anything you see out of week 9 so far?
Not really. I look at the complexion. We'll be talking about some of these games, but like Ohio State, I mean, the momentum they're gaining. And I'm looking at Michigan schedule coming up, and I'm like, man, they got some tough road games coming up after this week. If they lose here or win here, then it's Wisconsin, then they play at Penn State, and then they got Ohio State in the Big House. And that's a tough gauntlet to run through for Michigan there. So that's part of the thing I'm looking at here this week for both sides, momentum with Ohio State. And I don't know what you call Michigan. It's kind of a fear factor thing or something. I don't know. And I think Harbaugh is feeling that. This Harbaugh, it's crazy. I was saving this for the other game, but I might as well just throw it out since I opened the can of worms here. This Harbaugh, he runs this offense like Bo Schembechler with the 3 tight ends and the fullbacks and everything. And it's geared, it's showing respect to his coach. And out of the deal, we get Zach Ertz out of it at Stanford. That's awesome. I love that. But the system cannot win consistently against the big powerhouses. And he's selling the kids wrong. Like, you're not going to beat these systems. I'm sorry. You're not going to beat these other systems, offensive systems. And he's holding back for some reason, not wanting to get too advanced. And he'll never get a quarterback to go to that school to win a national championship, because they're going to all the schools that run the cool offenses that they've been running since junior high school and high school. And I just think Harbaugh is doing a disservice to himself and the team by continually to play 1960s football.
It's fascinating. And, the Big Ten is going to work itself out here the next couple of weeks. I mean, every conference is, but those big boys are about to start playing each other, and we're seeing it this week, and it's going to continue. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, jumping into our official plays. Now, everyone, our man, Big Tom Callahan Fornelli, is not with us today. He couldn't make the show, but we do have his picks. He emailed in his picks, so I'm going to give those. I'm not going to give his reasoning behind them, but if we have any thoughts on said games, we will jump into them. But, Chip, we will start with you. Now, look, you got a couple plays on some big games that we're going to hold out until our conversation towards the end of the show, but I want to start here. Rutgers, Illinois, under 42.5, which could be the overtime game of the year, even though we just saw an overtime game of 9? Is that what Illinois and Penn State went in? 9 and still hit the under?
If Illinois and Rutgers go to 9 overtimes, we're still cashing the under. I'm telling you. Art Sitkowski is the best chance that Illinois has at the quarterback position. Chase Brown, the Illinois running back that absolutely tore up Penn State and has been doing a great job really throughout the whole month of October. Now, I wanted to be sure to mention him before I back it up and say I still see this being a very, very low-scoring game. Rutgers unders are always a great place to start. Illinois unders are always a great place to start. It's like with Illinois' offense right now, you're almost afraid taking the under that Brandon Peters might throw a pick 6, but still the Rutgers doesn't show me anything here. And I like, there are certain teams that when they line up, I've got them pegged as a possible under team, and these are 2 that I've got in the Fighting Illini and the Scarlet Knights. So pretty simple here. Like, I didn't even look at the number. You just told me that Illinois and Rutgers were playing football, and I said, okay, cool, I'll take the under.
I like the way you think of that. All right, Micah, coming to you. We've got, I believe this is Thursday night game. Troy, Coastal Carolina. You're going the over 51.5 in this one.
Yeah, and first, by the way, with Chip, I was working on excuses to pick Rutgers in this matchup. So I'm going to have to look at the under as well and go with that, maybe a combo play there. Yeah, we got the number 7 defense with Troy in the nation against a number 7 offense with Coastal Carolina. Carolina comes off a loss. But this is a spot. I'm looking at the weather. We've got 12 to 20 mile an hour winds. We've got rain, 90% expected. So it'll be raining throughout the game, which doesn't always make it better for the defense. It's slippery, and a team like Coastal Carolina does so many things with their balanced offense, running and passing the ball. I think it's going to create more opportunities for them to score. The last 4 meetings between these schools have all gone over, and you got a total sitting here at 51.5 because of the defense of Troy. That has been good lately, But my final point that I took the over on was Gunnar Watson, the quarterback the last 2 games, been very effective, moving the ball, 2 wins for Troy. So I think we're going to see some points here and get over that. When you look at some of the totals that we've had with Coastal Carolina this year, you're looking at this, what's going on? It's respect for Troy's defense, but their offense is better now the last 2 games with Watson quarterbacking. So over in the Troy Coastal Carolina game, that's what I got, guys.
I like it. I like it. Now, I'll go ahead and give Tom's picks out right here. All right. He's got 4 plays for this weekend, and we'll put it up on the recap at the end of the show. Indiana plus 5.5 at Maryland. Virginia Tech plus 4.5 at Georgia Tech.
Oh.
He's on. Any thoughts you have on that one?
Yeah, that is a lot of faith in a Virginia Tech program that sure seems to be coached by a man in Justin Fuente, who will likely not be the head coach for 2022. But I understand not trusting Georgia Tech as a favorite in this position. Like, if I was to do my best Tom Fornelli impression, I would never impersonate his voice, but he would say something along the lines of, who says Georgia Tech deserves to be a favorite? And he would point out that ACC underdogs are something like 18-6 against the spread. It's an old principle he pulled from like the NL East at the beginning of the baseball season. It's something you used to use from the NFC East in old NFL seasons when the Cowboys weren't killing it. And it is the no one deserves to be favored principle. And I know he's been applying it to the ACC this year. And I guess that would be the thinking behind that one.
That has become one of my favorite sentences of all time. Now, real quick, before I get to the last 2 picks that he has, Thomas Richardson had, I believe, a hell of a quote. Like, if we had a Hall of Fame of quotes in the Early Edge chat, which there have been some tremendous ones, betting Rutgers unders will make you enough money to go to Rutgers.
Yes, that's right. Thomas knows he knows what's up. That's just it is a team that you flag and you say it is an under team. And when 2 under teams collide, you just ride with it, because there ain't a number that they'll set that is not a potential under if they go out and play.
I love it. I love it. Now, before I get to the final 2 and you guys, the remainder of your picks, look, everybody knows the rules of this show. We're going to give away some SportsLine year-long subscriptions. Look, you got to hit the under. You've got to hit the like on the video here. Hit subscribe to the SportsLine channel as well. But we do it a little bit differently. You guys know how we get down. So we're going to do it here in about 15 minutes or so, roughly. But yeah, look, honor system. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe. I trust all of you. You know what? I'm not going to make you have to work too terribly much for it. We're going to have some fun, courtesy of Chip and Micah on this one. All right, so back to his last 2 picks. So he's got North Carolina, Notre Dame under 62.5, which you guys have some thoughts on that game as well, but we'll get to that in just a minute. And then he has TCU, Kansas State under 58.5. So, yeah, interesting picks that our man Big Tom Callahan Fornelli has for this week. All right, Chip, getting back to you. Minnesota, Northwestern, another under. You're going with the under 43.5 here.
All right, so we go back and we saw like Minnesota, Purdue, that thing got under easy by about 2 touchdowns. We just went over by less than a touchdown against Nebraska. And then at Maryland, another little bit sweaty coming down the stretch, but that was another under for us. Do I need to detail what's been going on with Northwestern recently? I mean, under 51, cashes against Michigan. Under 45, cashes against Rutgers. I look at this and when Minnesota, because this is a Minnesota team, remember, that does not have a lot of the explosiveness that it had a couple years ago on the outside, and does not have its best running backs like it had at the beginning of the season when it took on Ohio State and had that strong performance early against the Buckeyes. It is a team that needs to keep you in check and isn't going to be in the business of trying to run up a bunch of possessions. Tanner Morgan, we thought that guy was going to be an NFL quarterback. He ain't. Well, he could play in the NFL, but I'm just saying he ain't the first-round pick that many had thought after that 2019 season where the Golden Gophers won 10 games. And so when Minnesota has gone on the road this season, they have tried to just keep everything in front of them, tried to keep things a little bit lower scoring, run the ball, play good defense. Northwestern, not a very imposing offense at all. And so I like this a lot. Again, I teased it in the storylines when I said I would rather parlay every single Big Ten under than play one single Pac-10 game. But it's because there's a lot of games that throw up the radar to say this is an under.
I like it. I like it. Now, Micah, you've got an official pick on the Notre Dame game, but we're going to hold for just 1 second.
Yep.
Chip, you give us your final play here. You're rolling. Whew. Kansas plus 31 at Oklahoma State.
Chalk. Listen, Lance Leipold has these boys fighting. I think that the little like wing tee, old school offense that they broke out against Oklahoma, that might be their best chance to be able to keep this thing tight, to be able to find ways against this Oklahoma State defense. Though, to be fair, my starting point here was seeing Oklahoma State favored by 30 and knowing that Oklahoma State's offense has not been a group that has been pounding opponents. And Kansas may be, one of the worst teams in all of football, but I don't think that they're just going to raise their level of compete for Oklahoma and then just let it drop off a cliff. I don't think Oklahoma State and Spencer Sanders have shown us a reason for it to be trusted by more than 4 touchdowns against a conference opponent. And so if Kansas can find ways to move the ball against what admittedly much better defense, according to my ratings, at Oklahoma State than there is at Oklahoma. The idea of having success offensively will be more difficult against the Cowboys, but still more than 4 daggum touchdowns. I mean, Oklahoma State has been out here winning games 28-18, 24-14. It's these lower scoring games. Listen, Oklahoma State might win it 28-3, but that's still a winner for Jayhawks plus 31.
That's true. That's true. And I did feel bad for Kansas this past weekend when they're up on Oklahoma. Their radio guy's just going crazy, who's just saying, anyone that is in town, just come on down to the game. You don't need a ticket. You could get in the stadium. The official account tweeted it out.
I love that.
Yeah, everybody who came down just in time to see Oklahoma start coming back. It was tough. But no, it's been a tough season for them. And any happiness that they can find, please find it. You know what I mean? We don't want anybody not to have any happiness here. All right, so we're going to get to our big 6 games of the weekend here. And we've got some official picks. And what I want everyone to do, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop in what your best bets are for this weekend, games that you like, games that you might have questions on, and just keep the conversation going there. And we are going to give away some year-long subs to SportsLine right now. So, all right, first game, Michigan, 4.5 point favorite at Michigan State, a total of 50.5. I'll go ahead and give Tom's. He's on the under 50.5. Micah, you like Michigan State here with the points?
I do, and I think the story of the game will be the quarterback, and neither one of them has done very good or very bad. I'm looking at McNamara, 1 pick in his last 2 games. Peyton Thorne, 3 picks in his last 2 games. Not going to get it done. They haven't been getting it done all season, just trying to not make turnovers. The thing I like here is just some of the past history here, different players and everything, but it doesn't matter. 11-2 against the spread, Michigan State is in their last 13 meetings, and 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 meetings at East Lansing. Harbaugh knows this. Harbaugh's dreading it. He doesn't like it. They've got the nation's leading rusher, Kenneth Walker, going in, and they keep feeding him. He keeps getting the job done. I just think there's so much here and so much looking forward to with Michigan. Not that they're fearing Ohio State yet or Wisconsin or Penn State. I just think Michigan State at home is going to get that little edge. Maybe it's a penalty, a flag thrown. Maybe it's something. I don't know. But the home crowd here in this rivalry means something. And if I can get more than a field goal with the home team, with the Spartans here, with the nation's leading rusher, I'm good with that. Both teams haven't played anybody that great. Washington was a nice non-conference win before we knew what Washington was. I think they've both kind of played the same teams and done okay. I just think Michigan State, there's a little more for them here. You know what I mean? A little more to grab over a field goal for me. So that's what I do.
Yeah, and it sounds like you kind of believe both of these teams are pretty similar. Yeah. Like there's not too terribly much of a difference between the two. And Chip, with your pick, you're going with the under as well in this one. It feels like you probably kind of feel the same. Like there's not too terribly much difference between these two teams. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really, really enjoy being able to know exactly what I'm going to get from this game when they just both want to run the football. I mean, it's just, that is the main thing you want to do. Now, if we're going side and you want me to just sort of give you my lean here, I'm with Micah. Because let's take it to the second level. Michigan State has playmakers on the outside, specifically in Jalen Naylor, that I think is better than what Michigan has. And I think one of the reasons why Michigan's had to go a little bit more antiquated with its offensive approach, that's the loss of Ronnie Bell right at the beginning of the season. I think if Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator at Michigan, had his full complement of wide receivers that they had on the preseason depth chart, we would see a little bit of a more modernized offense. Heck, we might even see more J.J. McCarthy in there. And maybe there is, a little bit down the line when McCarthy takes over from McNamara, a little bit more of an evolution for Michigan offensively. But in this matchup, they just both want to run the football. They've both been very solid defensively. And back to even give more confidence to Micah's pick, Michigan State only won 2 games last year, but one of them was against Michigan.
Yes.
Mel Tucker gets these boys ready to go.
27-24 at the Big House? Come on.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen with the first-year coach. Come on.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Those results stick with me for years when I'm looking at coaches and when I'm looking at teams and programs, especially in these rivalry type situations. So just it's over 7 touchdowns. I don't think we get 7 touchdowns. Favorable number. I'll go with the under.
I like it. All right. Our next game here. Big one. We were talking about the Big Ten earlier. Penn State and Ohio State. Ohio State's an 18.5-point favorite, a total of 60. All right. Our man Tom is on Ohio State. Chip, you're on Ohio State too. What do you got?
Yeah. I don't want to take a Penn State team that can't run the ball and can't get 2 GD yards time and time and time again. There is no way that I can accurately portray how impacted my betting brain was by seeing Penn State fail to get 2 yards. And listen, they tried to go a little gimmicky. They tried to get a little, pull out the trick plays for some of those overtimes. But there were a couple of overtimes where the play call was, all right, let's what up, and let's go get these yards. And they didn't get them. I think it's a bad recipe. I know James Franklin is saying that Sean Clifford will be more healthy. He did look limited and he did look impacted by injury in the loss to Illinois. But I think Ohio State's playing the kind of football that so many expected we would see at the beginning of the season. Alabama and Ohio State are teams that, though they have 1 loss, I have more confidence in their ability to compete with the likes of Georgia if they were to meet in the college football playoff than anybody else in the country. It feels like Ohio State is playing like the team our little video game brains thought it would look like the first game of the season. When it didn't look like that against Minnesota, we're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And when CJ Stroud is struggling for just a little bit against Oregon, all the Ohio State fans bench CJ Stroud. Well, you know what CJ Stroud has done in the month of October? 14 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 72.3% passing. CJ Stroud might get out here and win this daggum Heisman Trophy. Ohio State, lay the points.
I like it. Now, as we get to Mike and Chip, you might have a little bit of music or something for us on this one because, Micah, you are completing the trifecta here. Ohio State as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Buckeyes. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's
I love
Buckeye.
it. Yeah, Mike,
Brutus Buckeye, me, we're going to be grooving in this game. This is one of those spots, 2 straight losses for Penn State. Not good losses either. This is, they're coming in. The coach is even psyched out. He's got out of his mind. He's talking about they're playing in the Big House this week. They're playing Illinois. And I don't know if the Illinois game just scattered his brain or whatever, but he's talking gibberish when he's in the press conference. It's I don't know. Maybe he's doing it on purpose, but I have to say I doubt it. The CJ Stroud angle, the last 3 games, I know they're not great opponents, but yes, amazing. He's getting better and better each week. They now have the number 1 offense in the nation. And I just don't see, maybe if this was a whiteout game at Penn State, I could get behind taking them. And even though I'm looking at a number 4-1 against the spread, their last 5 meetings, I don't see Penn State in that groove right now. I don't see them anything positive coming out of those last 2 losses. So in this spot here, I got everything rolling with the Buckeyes. They know what they got to do ahead. This is just another one of those games they got to check off the list before they get to the Big Ten championship game and the playoffs. One lost team making the playoffs. I guess we can announce it already. If they run the table, as I think they will. But Stroud is the reason I went ahead and he's turned. He's not a freshman anymore. He's already a sophomore going and probably looking for when can he go to the NFL? Junior year? Something like that. Yeah, he's already looking at that. So get this win here, get this cover, move on to better things.
I like it. And you know, going back to your James Franklin comments, look, I'm here in Nashville, just down the street when he was at Vanderbilt. He is a clean, polished, very well-spoken, very meticulous individual. I'm with you. When I heard him saying those things over and over, I'd never heard him speak like that before. Yeah. You know, and it's talking. Everybody's going to say something incorrectly at some point. But he was just going and layering it on. And it made me think, like, not only, and we could save this for another show, another time, but, you know, not only is he a favorite for this USC job, but he's a favorite for this LSU job as well. And even if he doesn't take either of those two, he's going to get paid at Penn State just for being a favorite at those two. So, yeah, we could talk another time on that. But there's some things going on personally in James Franklin's, you know, life, which are all good, by the way. All three of those options are good. But, yeah, I was fascinated by that as well. All right, jumping to our next game, Iowa at Wisconsin. Yeah, so Iowa's the 9th-ranked team in the country. Wisconsin's a 3-point favorite. The total is 36.5. Now, Chip, you have an official play on this, so I'm going to let you go first. You like the under 36.5.
I love the under 36.5. This is what, like, this game, they should just take all their gloves off because everyone has bloody knuckles at the end of Iowa and Wisconsin. All either team wants to do is win at the line of scrimmage, and both of these programs embrace that. They are playing a game that you would play. I don't know how much snow there has been in either of y'all's childhoods, but in North Carolina, we don't get it a ton. But when we do get it, we play tackle football. Okay. Mm-hmm. We go out there and we play bloody, hard-hitting tackle football. I'm not a tough guy. We didn't play it on gravel, you know, but when it snows outside, we're going to go out there and we're going to fight for every single yard and basically turn it into rugby. That is what Wisconsin and Iowa want to do. Whoever has won the rushing battle in this series has won 18 of the last 20 games. It's special teams, it's punting, it's punt coverage, it's running the football. That means less possessions. All that's missing is actually running an option offense for me to tell you that there's a reason why this has an Army-Navy kind of total to it. So in addition to it just being a fun ticket to have, sweating out the 36.5 will put some hair on your chest. I do think that we are looking at 13-8. We are looking at like 17-9. It is going to be a wild, hard-hitting game between these two teams. And I don't think Wisconsin being favored is wrong for two reasons. Number one, the Badgers, though it has come against lesser competition, do seem to be playing some of their better football of the season. And number two, the hits continue to come for this Iowa defense. You know, down Hankins, down Moss, key players are going to be out from that group. I fear that because of injuries, this Iowa team's best football is in the past.
Yeah, and look, I'll say this. Tom is on Wisconsin with the 3 points here. Now, Micah, to you agree with Chip. You're on the under as well.
Yeah, I like the under. It's be a play. I already have it. And it's just one of those things, two great defenses here. Number one, against the run defense, Wisconsin, number one in the nation, number two overall defense, except they have a quarterback that is absolutely horrible. And so now they're trying to, hide him a little bit, and they can't convert third downs. I think they're the fourth worst in the nation, 28% converting third downs. That's awful. You saw the Iowa, the turnover margin flipped from plus 16 to plus 11 in just like 2 games. So that's something that's changed there. But the defense is still good, but both quarterback play. This is the thing that was kind of my final solution here as far as a total was both quarterback play. They don't even care. They don't even try. And It's just running the ball. And it reminds me, remember the magnetic football game where they just had the things going back and forth and running into each other? That was a 70s game when I was a kid. But that's what this game reminds me of. They're going to be on the electric machine just bouncing back and forth. And before you know it, I mean, you've got a 6-7 score or something. I don't know. You're right, Chip. This is one of those games. This is going to be a very low-scoring game. And I'd be surprised if the quarterbacks have any luck of anything. The running backs, of course, they'll pile up maybe 100 yards each rushing. So low scoring game, low moving, clock will keep running, low scoring under.
I think that was a perfect analogy. Honestly, I don't think that there could have been a better analogy for what this game is going to be. So I'm with you on that.
What did they call that? Do you remember what they called that?
Electric football.
Electric football, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I remember playing that as a kid. My dad had it, and I mean, it was fun. And then it was like, all right, what the hell is going on? Like, it's just everyone's everywhere. But I think it's a perfect analogy for what this game is going to be. So I'm with you on that. All right, next game, Ole Miss at Auburn. Auburn's a 3-point favorite at home. Jordan Hare, a total of 66. Now, Tom, he's on Ole Miss here. Micah, I'll start with you. You're going opposite. You're going Auburn.
Yeah, I got Auburn, and surprisingly, from the season started, I've got them up 7 points from when the season started, and I've got Ole Miss even. They're doing exactly what they thought. They've got a couple wide receivers hurt in this spot here, but I think Auburn with Bo Nix at home. See, there's a differential, Chip, right? Home and away. You can trust Bo Nix at home, and believe it or not, that was one of my first things I went to look at to check and say, yeah, the stats are there. He's right. Bo Nix is pretty good at home. And they've also won, is it their last, I think they've won the last 4 meetings or something. So I think in the spot here, Auburn takes it to them. Bo Nix has a good game, leads the way. People can stop talking bad about him. And they're just a team that's been improving along the way. And I'm going to go with Auburn here.
Speaking of Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I'm right there with you. Speaking of improving along the way, so Bo Nix, first year as a starter, 2019, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions at home, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions on the road. Second year as a starter, 8-1 touchdowns, interception, then 4-6. But this year, he's even tightened it up on the road. He's been getting better. Like, he has continued to get a little bit better all along the way. I with going through a coaching change too, and still being able to see that, I give a lot of credit to Bo Nix to being able to rewrite the narrative. And honestly, depending on how Auburn's season finishes, rewrite his own history in the minds and hearts of Auburn fans. This pick is a little bit hunchy. I'm right there with you. I think that Ole Miss is slowly and a little bit under the radar starting to get shaky. And a lot of it is not the fault of Matt Corral, and it's not the fault of Lane Kiffin. They're just starting to take some injuries. They're starting to take some injuries on the offensive line. They're starting to take some injuries on the defensive side of the football. And you go back and you start to really look at, like, for example, the Tennessee game, which we are only going to remember for golf balls and mustard bottles. But I think a storyline that was overlooked in that game was like, why was Ole Miss in that position? Like, why couldn't Ole Miss be able to pull away and take care of that game? And I think that asking this Rebels team that has really been through the ringer to go on the road, go to Auburn against a group of a football team that has exceeded the expectations. Micah mentioned it, and I totally agree with it. This team has exceeded my expectations as well. I think it's going to be a great environment there in Jordan Hare, and I do think Auburn ends up winning and getting the cover in primetime.
Yeah, and you're talking about giving Bo Nix credit, which 100% agreed. 100% agreed. Also have to give their head coach Brian Harsin credit as well, because it was a tumultuous start this offseason. And we're not going to get into this. Definitely don't want any opinions, any thoughts. But what's going on at Washington State, or what happened? There was a little bit of that at Auburn in terms of just kind of some craziness that was going on. And he calmed it down, said, hey, everybody, we're going to do what we need to do. We're going to play football. And I got to give him credit for it. He had fans all over him before he'd even coached a game. So well done to him. Well done to Auburn. They've had a much better season, than kind of I thought that it was going to be. So, yeah, credit to them. All right. Now, we're going to give away a SportsLine year-long subscription on this one. We've got 2 official plays, okay? So this one is going to be courtesy of our man Micah Roberts here. So we'll have him go last. All right. So we've got North Carolina at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 3.5-point favorite, a total of 62.5. So first, Tom will give away. He is on the under 62.5 here. Now, Chip, this is an official play for you. But before you give it out, everybody in the chat, this is what you have to do. You have to predict what Micah Roberts' pick is going to be in this game. So in the chat, drop your Twitter handle and one of 4 options, only one. So drop your Twitter handle and write North Carolina, Notre Dame, over or under. One of those 4, your Twitter handle, will have Micah go last, and we'll pick a winner of who gets that correct. So, Chip, official play for you. You're on the over 62.5.
And what'd you say Tom was on?
The under 62.5.
Fight.
All right. Listen, I know he's concerned that Notre Dame can't move the football. I've heard this story before. I've been on the Notre Dame unders right there with Tom. I understand. But he ain't watched as much of North Carolina football as I have. And North Carolina is a great over team. We opened this show talking about teams that, I flag for possible unders. That North Carolina defense will give up yards and points aplenty. And the thing is, it comes in spurts. Now, you could be sitting there with 21-0 North Carolina lead at the end of the first quarter, and I'm not going to be surprised if that's 35-28 at halftime, as we saw against Virginia. Or they could have a game seemingly in hand, only to see the team that they had the lead against come back and nearly knock them off at home, as we saw against Miami. I think that Notre Dame against USC played its best offensive football across 4 quarters that we have seen yet. And it came from an up-tempo approach where they move with pace. Jack Cohn is getting the ball out of his hands quickly. It resulted in Kyron Williams, their best offensive player at the running back position, having hitting some explosive plays, being good in both the pass and the run game. And I just think that as Notre Dame's offense really starts to find its legs here in the second half of the season, that they'll be able to score points against North Carolina. Okay, now let's look at the other side. Sam Howell, Josh Downs are going to go and get theirs. The Kyle Hamilton status, which, by the way, I am very thankful that they said it was a pinched fat pad in his knee and not some kind of knee injury that was going to result in any kind of significant loss for somebody who I think is a first-round NFL draft pick and one of the most talented defensive backs in the class. That was a great thing to hear. Okay, he is out. Kyle Hamilton is out. Bad news for defending Sam Howell and the North Carolina passing attack. So I'll feel like Sam Howell and UNC will be able to get theirs, but at the same time, they'll give it up to this new look, hurry up, Jack, Notre Dame offense. And instead of trying to sweat out the side of this, I'll just go for the points.
I like it. All right, now we're going to give away a year-long subscription to SportsLine for someone who was correct. Micah, I'll get out of your way. What do you got?
I got the Fighting Irish, man. And I don't, I looked at 3.5. It's always like a death stare. I'd rather lay 4 than 3.5. It's just something programmed in my mind, but I don't care. I'm looking at Sam Howell here, 203 yards or worse his last 2 games. This guy was one of the Heisman favorites coming in. Those were high-scoring games, too. That was a high-scoring win against Miami and then a loss against Florida State. Didn't have big passing games at all. And a little surprising that they're not. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. Just change, trying to win, mixing things up. But the thing with Notre Dame, the problem all year with them has been the offensive line and the running game until the last 2 games. The win against Georgia Tech, they had 186 yards rushing. And then last week against USC, grinding the clock down, 41 rushes for 170 yards. Kyron Williams, 125, 2 touchdowns. I see something like that here, grinding, controlling the clock, maybe frustrating North Carolina a little bit with the offense not getting on the field as much as they want. I will not discount the over or the under in this spot because I'm looking some of the trends I had written down here. What was it? Road team 5-0 ATS last 5 meetings and over 6-1 the last 7 games as a road dog. And then for Tom, the under is 4-1 in the last 5 home games for Notre Dame. So a couple little whatever one you want to grab onto there with that. But I think the running game with Notre Dame is going to be intact. The offensive line looks like it's got everything figured out. And that is the reason for betting Notre Dame here. Controlling the game clock.
I love it. Yeah, look, an official pick, gave some nuggets out. What more can you ask for, my man? And he just gave away a year-long subscription to SportsLine to our winner, Corey Tickle. At Corey Tickle chose Notre Dame correctly.
So, yeah, Corey.
Well done. Well done. That's courtesy of our man, Micah Roberts. Now, let's run it back. Let's run that game back. I want to have some more fun. This time, we're going to give away a year-long subscription to SportsLine, courtesy of our man, Chip Patterson. It is our final game, too. Pretty big one. They used to call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. You can't call it that anymore.
I'll call it that. I'll call it that right now.
Well, and that's what I was going to say.
It is.
That you're exactly right. That's absolutely what it is. And it's weird enough that the game now has an official sponsor of Dos Equis. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, but yeah, we're just going to have some fun with that. Now, what you have to do is you have to choose what Chip is going to pick in this game. We have Georgia, 14-point favorite, versus Florida in Jacksonville, a total of 51. Okay, so in the chat right now, drop your Twitter handle and one of four options, either Georgia, Florida, over or under. That's all you got to do. So Twitter handle and Georgia or Florida or over or under, and we will select a winner based on who chooses correctly. So start with Tom. Tom is on Georgia here. Michael, I'll throw it to you. You like two plays. You like Georgia with the points and the over 51.
Yeah, I think Georgia is going to do all they can to run it up, and Florida will be right there to give it to them. The quarterback play has not been very good, throwing interceptions. Georgia will make them pay here. They had a 3-game win streak in the series until last year, I believe, and I think they're not very happy about losing that game to Florida last. So that's still in their head. And then the quarterback, this Bennett kid, I mean, he's like a robot. He's got the same numbers, same stats, doesn't make any mistakes. It's like the greatest thing ever. If you can have a robot that moves, an efficient machine like Georgia's offense, and then the defense comes in, 6.6 points allowed. I know we stress on that every week and we think it's funny and we get a laugh out of it, but that is like the most insane defense I've ever seen at this stage of a season in my lifetime. I don't remember seeing that. I used to woo about Alabama, 10 points per game allowed. I was like, who's going to score on this team? 6.6 points allowed, and they're going to force some turnovers. They're going to make Florida, I think, and I like the coach there, but I think in this spot, Georgia is going to hand it to them. And and why it's a game in Jacksonville? I mean, it's 314 miles away from Athens. It's not really a neutral site. It's like an hour away from Gainesville. Seems like there's a little home edge there. I know they're 50-50 with the seats, but I don't know. And Jacksonville, apparently, I understand, has paid each side $1 million and covers traveling expenses as well. So that's why they've been having it there forever. And the cocktail party thing, I don't know what happened there. Somebody just got crazy. It's crazy that this changed like in 2006 and not 2020 or 2019 when everybody's all crazy about everything. But for some reason, I'm still going to call it that. I'm going to have a cocktail with all my friends and everybody that's out there, and I'm going to enjoy the game.
I like it. You know, they need to bring that name back, and they need to bring the beer barrel between Tennessee and Kentucky. I'm just going to put that out there as well. Okay, so Chip, you know what? I'm going to get out of your way. You're going to change someone's life here with a year-long subscription to SportsLine. What do you got?
Who's that coming down the track? It's Queen Latifah! That's right, because I am also on Georgia. That is 1, 2, 3 for the dogs.
Wow.
I just look at this, and I don't want to talk myself into a Florida defense that just got torn up on the ground by LSU, all of a sudden having the answers against an offense that is better at running the ball, with a deep rotation of running backs, with an offensive line that I think is better than LSU. When we talk about the ways Georgia gets beat and the way that you can stress Georgia, we talk about making them one-dimensional and just seeing if they really can beat you with the downfield pass. They're throwing it ball down the field, at least to keep teams honest, but most of the time it's not until they already have a 7, 10, 14-point lead. And it's stupid. They've already made you commit to the box because they're getting 4 or 5 yards a carry, which Kirby Smart would be more than happy to do the entire game. And this is just not a place where I think that if you are looking for Florida to stand up and throw some haymakers, then I think it's got to come from Dan Mullen. It's got to come from Dan Mullen just being a really good game planner, a really good offensive coach, and finding a spot or two, which, while we consider Georgia's defense amazing and one of the best, of the last decade, let's say best since 2011 Alabama. Let's use that as the comparison that we're going to end up using. There's a lot of football left before we can really draw those conclusions all the way through. I think that on the back half, you might be able to find a mismatch or two against the Georgia secondary. But, I mean, if you're stuck in 3rd and long, you're not going to have enough time to get the ball down the field because, surprise, here's Nakobe Dean. Surprise, here's Adam Anderson. Surprise, here's Devontae Wyatt, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. They're in your face and they're pulling your quarterback to the ground. Plus, I don't trust really Florida with either quarterback to be good at downfield passing. Say all that to say, I love Georgia being able to cover this. When this was sitting at 14.5, I said to a friend, this feels like a sucker bet begging you to take the worst team. And somebody must have fallen for it because Georgia's going to win this game by 20.
Yeah, and what we saw out of LSU or Florida's defense against LSU in regards to the run, if they're giving up 200-something yards on the ground to LSU, buddy,
it's in trouble.
Georgia will take 500. Like I'm with you there. I'm totally with you. All right, as Coach says, grab your paper, grab your pencil. Let's put up our recap here, and it does look glorious. Look, Chip Patterson, North Carolina, Notre Dame over 62.5, Iowa, Wisconsin under 36.5, Rutgers, Illinois under 42.5. Minnesota Northwestern under 43.5, and Kansas plus 31. Tom Fornelli is on Indiana plus 5.5, Virginia Tech plus 4.5, North Carolina Notre Dame under 62.5, and TCU Kansas State under 58.5. Our man Micah Roberts, Troy Coastal Carolina over 51.5, and Notre Dame minus 3.5. Now, our winner that we have, let me see if I can pull up two things at one time here. Blake Frush chose Georgia. Congratulations. You have won a year-long subscription to SportsLine, courtesy of our man, Chip Patterson there. So congrats, Blake. Well done. Also, since we have a little bit of a quicker show today, I did want to give out 2 NFL picks really quickly because it might be a minute before I'm back on one of our NFL shows because we have so many just great experts that are on there. Look, the Buffalo Bills minus 13.5 this week against the Miami Dolphins. That is a nightmare scenario for Miami. They are 2 weeks out of going to London. They are the only team that didn't get a bye. They just got beat by Atlanta. Buffalo is coming off of a bye week where before that they were whooped by the Tennessee Titans. This is a nightmare scenario. Buffalo already beat Miami 35-0 in Miami. Now you get them in Buffalo. Good luck on that. Also, the Lions plus 3.5.
Yeah, that's the winner.
Yep, I know. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I know that they're 0-7, but please pay attention to who they have played. The Packers, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Rams. They have legitimately played playoff team after playoff team after playoff team, and they keep showing up and keep fighting. The Eagles just showed you they had 10 days to prepare for the Raiders. They went out there and absolutely laid an egg. Just a disaster. I'll take the team that's fighting. The Fighting Dan Campbells. Give me the Lions. So, yeah, Bills 13.5, Lions plus 3.5. Just wanted to put that out there just in case we didn't give you the full 60 minutes of entertainment that we normally do. All right, so let me take this off here. So, as I always say, gentlemen, we really do appreciate it. You guys are super busy, and you take the time every week to go over these picks, give your bets with us. I want to make sure that we at least do the smallest amount that we can and let you plug all the great work that you have going on. Micah, as I say every week, you legitimately, I believe, work on every sport here at sportsline.com. What have you got coming up this week?
No hockey. I do not do that. But I'm working on NASCAR, of course. We're talking about Martinsville Speedway, one of my favorite races of the year, twice a year. Denny Hamlin's from Virginia. He's going to be a guy to watch. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, both have to win, and they're capable of doing that. Look for those guys there. NBA going on. Cleveland Cavaliers, look out for them. They've made a statement wins in their last 2 games as underdogs. I look for them to keep it up and get the cover tonight. And also, what else do we got? Oh, the World Series, Game 2. I mean, Max Fried, he had a bad start his last one, but he won 7 straight, only allowed 3 runs in his previous 5 starts. He allowed 5 in his last one. I think he bounces back tonight again and gets the win.
Boy, that'll be big if the Braves take 2 in Houston. That'll be massive. That was a fun game last night. Chip, what do you got, buddy?
Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern, youtube.com/cover3. If you want to join the Cover 3 Locks live, that is the best way to do it. I saw Thomas in the chat say that I don't talk this much trash to Tom on Cover 3. You've been listening for long enough. You know I do. Catch me talking trash to anybody who wants to come and get it on the Cover 3 podcast. Bud Elliott, Danny Cannell, Tom Fernelli. They, especially if you miss out, man, I'm going to run my mouth. Come on now. So come and tune in for more Latifa. Tune in for more lock fights. Maybe we'll hear the children sing. When we get some lock agreement, it'll all be on the Cover 3 podcast lock show Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern, youtube.com/cover3.
Yeah, everybody make sure you follow Micah Roberts on Twitter. You follow Chip Patterson on Twitter, Tom Fernelli as well. Follow Micah's work on SportsLine and the Cover 3 podcast. Seriously, listen to it. They have a ton of fun. You guys always have great guests, everything, and everyone on there. I enjoy that you could break down games professionally and also have a good time doing it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all
sports.
about.
It's sports.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Games.
Like,
they're called games.
Exactly. Like, it's the last thing that we have that we can just enjoy and we don't have to make into a fight or anything else. So I'm with you. I love that. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And as Coach always says, let's take these straight to the pay window. For Chip, for Tom, who's not with us, but he'll be back next week, Micah and the entire Early Edge crew, we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck.
Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.